what we're talking about here is an operator making a shot from a moving helicopter
Yeah.
on a moving vehicle.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like watching Tom Brady thread the needle between three defenders right in the numbers. Like, dude, it's what he does, and he does it every time.
Can we talk about shoot around the kids? Because this is where you came up briefly in my interview with Brent, and we didn't really get into the story. So
Yeah. Yeah, sure. And this was one of those where we didn't land upon it lightly, right? Like you and I have been talking about selection and training, and you're doing all sorts of stuff in the target house, right? And you're shooting around targets and you're rescuing the hostage, and Delta was designed to be a hostage rescue unit, where you're designed to shoot around the non-combatants. You're designed to shoot around the kids, and we became a much more direct action unit with Iraq and Afghanistan. We this idea of hostage rescue, there still were hostage rescue missions that we went on, but it was very much, direct action, precision surgical direct action, where you're capturing and killing Al Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS. Um, and some of the jobs that we went on, we were really holding back because of the non-combatants that were on site. So like you said, you try to set the conditions. There's kids around. Don't do it. Day two, there's kids around. Well, when other kids are on, you're looking for all those loopholes until it comes down to this point where it's like, okay, this isn't hostage rescue, but we can take the principles of hostage rescue, shooting around the non-combatants, and still get our target. Yes, no, and that was kind of where that came from. So it was a blend of what we were doing on a regular day-to-day basis of the direct action, where the non-combatants were kind of off the battlefield, or they weren't involved, to where, oh, wait a minute, they are there, and our tolerance is zero, right? Like, we don't want any non-combatants to be harmed. And if we didn't care, then we drop a bomb on them. I mean, that's the thing. If you need to kill this guy and there's kids around and you don't care, then drop a bomb on him. If you don't want to hurt the kids, then send us in and we'll work around the kids. And that was always that tension also, um, with decision makers. So I think that's where that came from, was that that blend, and then really the confidence that I had in our guys. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I had been in the troop for over a year, maybe a year and a half. I trained with them. Like, I knew what they could do. And I just asked, Can you do it?" And to a man, they said, "Yeah." Um, and I've talked to a couple of the guys, and what's funny is everyone remembers things differently, right? Like, some guys I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I remember the first time you said that." And I was just like, "Whew, this is gonna be froggy." And other guys are like, "No, I don't even remember." You know what I mean? So it's just kind of varying on the impact that it had. The first time I did it, it was definitely, for me, a kind of a roll in the dice, where I thought, "Okay, if we're gonna get this target, we're gonna have to go when there are non-combatants around, and we're gonna have to protect the non-combatants. And if we don't, I'm probably gonna lose my job, and that's okay." You know, um, again, I think we can do this. And the first time they did it, it was flawless. And then I don't even remember how many times we did it after the fact. I don't know, 5 or 6 or 8. I don't remember how many times. What I remember is, again, this is that counterfactual. What I remember after the first or second time was, don't get comfortable. This is not the standard. This isn't running it up the middle. Okay? This is running it up the middle and avoiding a little kid, you know? So, it's hard for me to remember how many times we did it. I remember scattered a bunch of different ops, in a lot of different scenarios. But I vividly remember every single time just relooking, dude, never lose what this is. Like this is all the chips are in. How many times are you going to put all the chips in? You know what I mean? And just again, it's fine. I've eliminated all the risks and that I can, and I feel safe with it. But don't ever get comfortable putting all the chips in, because that's a human, that's a non-combatant, and our job as professionals is you don't hurt the non-combatants.
Yeah, and for some context, I think you're being a little humble about it or professional about it, but what we're talking about here is an operator making a shot from a moving helicopter
Yeah,
on a moving vehicle.
yeah, it's
And you're
insane.
the guy that had to make that call. And this is something that's fascinating about, well, actually fascinating is not the right word, but people that are critical of the soldier, right? The soldier is the one that has to make that split second decision in a gray environment, because how often is war black and white? And they're the ones that have to live with it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
So you're making that decision, and that's what you mean by, or I think what you mean by, you're not making it lightly. But
yeah,
again, to give some context here, because that's what Brent said, and
yeah,
he's like, listen, I've seen him make that shot, and they'll continue to make that shot. And
yeah. No, I'm glad you said that. It's a seemingly impossible ask, but again, it's like watching Tom Brady thread the needle between three defenders right where the right in the numbers. Like, dude, it's what he does, and he does it every time. That's how good these guys are. I mean, it's hard to explain how incredible these guys are without like exaggerating. But there's nothing to exaggerate. And the other thing, I'm glad you brought that up, that I also want to say is these targets that we were going for is like fucking Godzilla, man. Like, he's gonna burn the village. He's gonna burn Tokyo if you don't get him. It's not like just some flippant thing like, oh, he's a purse snatcher, or even he's a murderer. He's not. He's a mass murderer. And it's these military emirs that are planning these suicide bomb attacks, and they're blowing up children's soccer games and markets and mosques and schools. You know what I mean? Like, it's that guy, and he showed himself once. You know, like, this guy's a ghost. We're never going to see him again. So we either kill him right now with what we have, or hundreds of people are going to die. This is that movie thing where everyone likes in the movies, the ticking, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, it's like, no, that's what this was. Like, this isn't, or he was a suicide bomber, or he's wearing a suicide bomb. This guy's on a motorcycle driving to the market with a vest on to blow up 100 people. So do you want me to not shoot around the kids?
what's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. As you could probably tell, this is a brand new channel. So if you got anything out of this at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I see every like, I read every comment, and I appreciate all of it, especially in the beginning, because as you know, that kind of support goes a long way on these platforms. So most importantly, I have some awesome guests coming up in the future for interviews. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But again, thank you for your time. Appreciate the support, and hope to see you again soon.